Hello everyone and welcome back to Court Climbs. Question that I see a lot on social media is how do I find climbing friends that will take me outdoors for my very first time? In today's video, I'm going to be giving you my ideas on how to find your own group of outdoor climbing friends, as well as tips and tricks that will make them want to invite you on future trips. I think that one of the best ways to find a group of people to go outdoors with is to just ask around at your local climbing gym. As long as you're being polite, it's not rude to jump in on a conversation where you overhear someone talking about going on a future outdoor climbing trip. A lot of gyms also have bulletin boards, and people might post different future trips, and those trips might even be sponsored by the gym itself. So that's a great way to get involved in outdoor climbing through your local climbing gym. You can also see if there are any clubs in the area that might want to take you outside climbing for the first time. I know that sometimes there are groups through churches or colleges that will go outside and climb, and these types of groups are perfect for the beginner climber. A lot of areas also have access coalitions, or some sort of group that maintains the crags in the local area. And these groups are a great resource to find climbing friends that will potentially take you outdoors. A lot of the times they'll have events like maybe trail cleanups or crag cleanups, and that's a great place to meet people that might take you outdoor climbing. If you're not super sure if your area has an access coalition, I'll leave a link in the description and it will take you to a page that lists all the different access coalitions in the US. So another thing that you can do is look for climbing-based Facebook groups. So essentially just take your state plus the word climbing, put that in the Facebook search bar. So for example, I'm from Ohio, so I just typed in Ohio climbing and it pops up with a whole bunch of different groups. You can also try, if you know a specific crag in your area, to just search by that specific crag. For example, I wanted to know more about the Red River Gorge, so I just put Red River Gorge climbing in that Facebook search bar and it popped up with different groups. And that's a great way to make climbing friends that will take you outdoors for the very first time. I see a lot of posts in a lot of those groups asking for partners all the time. So one thing that I recommend when you're posting in these climbing Facebook groups looking for people to take you outside is just to be as specific as possible about what you're looking for. Include the amount of experience that you have climbing, either indoors or outdoors if you've been a couple of times. It's also a good idea to include any gear that you own and gear that you would potentially need from that said climbing partner. It's also a good idea to include the general region that you're looking to climb in. I know that I've been really willing to take a ton of new people out, but a lot of people are very specific about like, oh, I can only travel about an hour or two away from my house. And that just doesn't really work when we're making 6-hour trips to the Red and we're willing to take people down there, but that just isn't in their geographical region. So be specific about where you want to climb, or at least maybe list the town that you live in if you're comfortable doing that. And then lastly, just list what type of climbing you're interested in doing. So bouldering, sport climbing, top roping, trad climbing. Just let people know what type of climbing you're looking to do outside. Okay, so you found outdoor climbing friends and they're gonna take you outside for your first time. So now what? Here are my recommendations. Number one is be prepared. Ask whoever you're climbing with what type of gear you're going to need to bring. For bouldering, that looks like shoes and a chalk bag. They'll probably already have the crash pad, but make sure that you ask. For sport climbing, that's going to look like a harness, shoes, chalk. Whoever you're climbing with is likely already going to have the rope and the quick draws and anything needed to clean. But once again, make sure to ask and see if there's anything additional that you need to bring in order to have a successful trip. And then I cannot stress this enough. Bring a small backpack with some food and water. I do not care if the crag is like 2 minutes from the parking lot. It always amazes me how many people that we bring outside that don't bring any food and or water. And you never know what's going to happen when you're out at the crag, so it's just a good idea to bring those two items. Make sure to wear comfortable shoes because a lot of the times you're going to be doing a lot of walking, and if it's hot outside, bring sunscreen so that you don't get super burnt. And then jackets are a really good idea for those like colder fall or winter days when you're out at the crag and it gets to be a little cool. So my second tip, if you're going outside for your very first time to go climb, is to be considerate. It is really, really annoying when you're super stoked to go out and climb and you're waiting on someone because they're late to show up to the crag to climb with you. So if you're going outside climbing for your very first time, try as hard as you possibly can to be on time. Make sure that you make a plan beforehand of where specifically you're going to be meeting. And I don't mean just like, oh, I'll meet you there. I mean like, where specifically at the crag are you going to be meeting? A lot of the times this is just the parking lot, but parking lots can be big, right? Or there can be multiple different parking lots for the area. So make sure that whoever's taking you outside for the first time explains specifically where they're going to be meeting and what time. A lot of crags don't have service. Some do, but not all of them do. So don't just plan on, oh, I'll text them when I get there and see where they're at, because that might just not work. So then once you get to the place where you meet up, it's a really nice gesture as a new person that is being invited on the trip to just ask if you can help carry anything, because there's generally a lot of gear and few people to carry it all. So it's a really nice gesture to just ask, hey, can I carry anything? While you're climbing at the crag, it's a really nice thing to do to ask if anyone needs a belay, as long as they're comfortable with you belaying them, and as long as you know how to belay correctly, like you've been certified in it to lead or top rope belay if you're rope climbing. So an important thing to keep in mind is that whoever is inviting you on this climbing trip or whoever you're tagging along with, they're not a guiding service, right? So you want to make sure that you are doing your part to carry your weight on the trip, and keeping in mind that this trip isn't just about you, but it's also about them and what they want to climb. And things like offering to carry stuff or offering to belay makes you feel like a lot less of a newbie that they're trying to take out and climb and babysit, and more of like an inclusive part of the group, if that makes sense. So another tip that I have is to be patient. Outdoor climbing takes way longer to get to the actual climbing part than indoor climbing, right? So like when you go indoor climbing, it's like quick, you put your harness on, you put your shoes on, there's routes on the wall, you don't have to hunt for them, everything's set up. Like if you're lead climbing, you go to the desk, you grab a rope. If you're top roping, the top ropes are already set up. If you're bouldering, like the boulders are right there. And outdoor climbing is not like that at all. A lot of the times it's super, super common to have to hunt for routes, especially if you've never been in that specific area before, or even sometimes if you have been, it's just, it's not like, oh, there's that pink route over there. It's like, I think this is the right route. I think this is the right problem. I'm not really sure. And a lot of the times there's the weather, so it might be hot or cold, so people are sweaty, or they've got jackets on, they're carrying a lot of gear. It's gonna take a little bit to get to the crag and start climbing. There's going to be ropes to set up, there's going to be crash pads to unfold. So just know that if getting to the actual climbing part seems like it's taking longer than normal, that's because it is. And that's one of the things that I had to learn when I went outside for my first time, because I genuinely thought that I hated outdoor climbing. I'm like, this takes forever and it's not nearly as fun as indoor climbing. But just be patient and you'll realize that outdoor climbing is actually just as much fun. Just takes a little bit longer in between things. So another way that you need to be patient besides the time in between setting up climbs and finding climbs is also be patient with yourself and your abilities the first time that you go outdoor rock climbing. It's not going to be the same as in the gym, and it's likely that you're gonna climb a lot worse than you do in the gym because you're just not used to it. And the feeling of real rock can be incredibly different than the feeling of gym plastic. One of my friends once told me that happiness is expectations minus reality. So if you go into the climbing trip with the expectation that things are going to take a little bit longer than normal and you might not climb as well as you do inside, then the reality and the expectations are going to be more similar, and you're going to have a lot more of a happy, great trip than you would if you set your expectations super high. So lastly, here are a couple of things that I wouldn't do on your first outdoor climbing trip. And number one is bring any sort of Bluetooth speaker. It's generally frowned upon at a lot of different crags to play music at any volume that's higher than just your phone volume, because it makes it hard for the belayer and climber to communicate, and it's just like disruptive to being out in nature. So maybe leave your Bluetooth speaker at home. Another thing that I wouldn't necessarily bring is a hammock. A lot of areas actually don't even allow hammocks because it damages the trees if too many people use them over and over again. And also hammocks can like get in the way of people trying to walk, or just generally be in the way. You don't know the setup of the crag that you're going to if it's your first time. So I would just leave the hammock at home until you figure out on the next trip if they're allowed, or like what's the vibe on that. The one pro tip that I have for getting invited back on future climbing trips is bring a small cooler with some sort of ice packs, and then a 6-pack of Gatorade or carbonated water, iced tea, something refreshing like that, and then offer everyone a beverage at the end of the climbing trip. And it's just like a really nice thing to do, especially on a lot of the summer, fall climbing trips where everyone's hot and sweaty at the end of the day. It's really nice to have a cool, refreshing beverage. Overall, finding a good group to go climb outside with is a little bit of trial and error, but just keep trying. There are people, I promise, there are people out there that are gonna be super stoked to take you outside. It's just a matter of persisting until you find them. If anyone has any more questions about climbing outside, or any more specific questions about how to find people that will take you outside, put them in the comments. And until next time, stay hyped.